I just want to check my balance. Rick Patterson laughed, actually laughed out loud, couldn't help himself. It was Monday morning, March 3rd, 2025. Rick owned Patterson John Deere in Marshalltown, Iowa. 32 years running the dealership, seen thousands of farmers walk through those doors. The man standing in front of him wore Carhartt overalls stained with grease, boots caked in mud, a faded cap with a Seed Company logo from the 1990s. Drove up in a 1994 Dodge Ram with rust eating through the fenders and 287,000 miles visible on the odometer through the windshield. The farmer, Rick didn't recognize him, probably from some small operation south of town, had walked in, looked around the showroom at the new tractors, then approached the financing desk. "I just want to check my balance," he'd said. Rick assumed he meant checking if he could get financing. Poor phrasing, but farmers weren't always articulate. "Sir, if you want to apply for equipment financing, I can help you with that. What are you looking to purchase?" "No, I don't want financing. I want to check my account balance." Rick was confused. "Your account balance? We don't have customer accounts here. This is a dealership, not a bank." "I know. I have an account with you. I want to check the balance." Now Rick understood. This farmer had bought equipment years ago, probably still owed money, wanted to know his payoff amount. "Oh, you have an equipment loan with us? Let me look that up. What's your name?" "Bill Henderson." Rick typed the name into his system. "No active loans." "Sir, I don't show any active financing under your name. When did you purchase?" "I didn't purchase. I made deposits." "Deposits? We don't take deposits. We're not a bank." Bill sighed, pulled out a worn leather folder from his overall pocket, opened it. Inside, receipts, dozens of receipts, all from Patterson John Deere, all deposits. Rick took the folder, started reading. March 1996. Deposit $12,000 toward future equipment purchase. June 1998. Deposit $8,500 toward future equipment purchase. September 2001. Deposit $15,000 toward future equipment purchase. April 2004. Deposit $22,000 toward future equipment purchase. The list continued, pages of deposits. Rick's hands started shaking as he kept reading. November 2007, deposit $31,000, February 2011. Deposit $28,000, August 2014. Deposit $35,000, May 2018. Deposit $42,000, January 2022. Deposit $48,000, September 2024. Deposit $52,000. Rick counted quickly, had to use a calculator. Total deposits over 29 years, $387,500. He looked at Bill. "You've been depositing money with us for 29 years?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I planned to buy equipment when I needed it. Figured I'd save up first, pay cash, avoid financing." Rick was stunned. "Sir, we're not a bank. We don't pay interest on deposits. You've had $387,000 sitting here earning nothing for decades." "I know. That's fine. I didn't need interest. I needed a safe place to save that I couldn't easily access. If it was in my regular account, I'd be tempted to spend it. Here, it's out of sight." Rick's mind was racing. This dealership had been holding $387,500 of this farmer's money for 29 years. His father, who'd run the dealership before Rick took over, must have started accepting these deposits back in 1996. Rick checked the computer system more carefully, found the account. Customer prepayment account, Bill Henderson. Balance, $387,500. The deposits were real. The money was actually sitting in the dealership's account. "Mr. Henderson, I need to ask, why are you checking this now?" "Because I'm ready to buy. I'm 72. Been farming 48 years. Save money every year, put it here. Now I want new equipment, 3 tractors, a combine, a planter, all cash. What's the total for everything I need?" Rick pulled up inventory, tried to focus despite the shock. 3 tractors. What models?" "I need a 370 horsepower for primary field work, a 230 horsepower for secondary work, a smaller utility tractor, maybe 125 horsepower. Rick calculated. 8R370 is $475,000. 6R230 is $245,000. 5R125 is $180,000. That's $900,000 total for tractors and a combine. X9 1100 combine is $720,000. Planter? DB120 48 row is $390,000. Rick added it up. Total for 3 tractors, combine and planter, $2,110,000. Bill nodded. Okay, I have $387,000 here. I'll bring the rest in cash tomorrow. Can you have everything ready for delivery next week? Rick's mouth fell open. You're going to bring $1.7 million in cash tomorrow? Yes. Is that a problem? Mr. Henderson, Rick couldn't form words. That's the largest cash purchase in our dealership's history, by far. Where are you getting $1.7 million in cash? From my safe at home. I've been saving for 48 years, not just here, everywhere. Banks, cash, investments. I don't believe in debt, so I saved until I had enough to buy everything I needed. Rick needed to sit down. This farmer in dirty overalls who drove a 31-year-old truck with rust holes was about to pay $2.1 million cash for equipment. Mr. Henderson, I apologize for laughing earlier. I assumed. You assumed I was poor because I look poor. I get that a lot. Can I ask you something? Why did you wait so long? You've been depositing money since 1996. That's 29 years. Why not buy equipment earlier? Because I didn't need it earlier. I farmed with old equipment, maintained it, made it last. Could have upgraded any time, but why? New equipment doesn't grow more corn, just costs more money. I waited until my old equipment was truly worn out. Now I'm replacing everything at once. Rick was processing. What do you farm? How many acres? 420 acres. Been the same since 1977. Never expanded, didn't need to. 420 is enough to make a living if you own it debt-free. Rick did quick math. This farmer had saved $2.1 million farming 420 acres. Over 48 years, that averaged $43,750 per year saved. Plus whatever he'd spent on living expenses, plus what he'd paid for the land originally. Mr. Henderson, you're about to teach me something about farming I never understood. I've been selling equipment for 32 years. Always pushed farmers to upgrade, to finance, to grow. You did the opposite. Kept old equipment, saved cash, stayed small, and you're wealthier than most farmers with 5 times your acres. Bill smiled. Wealth isn't about acres. It's about what you keep, not what you gross. I grossed maybe $70,000 a year farming, lived on 20, saved 50, did that for 48 years. Compound that and you get millions. The next day, Bill returned, brought his son, his accountant, and a security guard he'd hired. Brought $1,723,000 in cash. Hundreds and fifties, took 2 large duffel bags to carry it. Rick had notified the bank, had armed security present. The money was counted, verified, deposited. Combined with the $387,500 already on account, Bill paid $2,110,500 total. Rick processed the largest sale in Patterson John Deere's history. His commission, $105,525. But more than the commission, Rick learned something. The farmer he'd laughed at for wanting to check his balance had more cash than Rick had seen in 3 decades of business. The man who looked poorest was richest. The joke was on Rick, and the lesson was simple. Never judge a farmer by his truck. But the full story of how Bill Henderson saved $2.1 million farming 420 acres over 48 years deserves deeper examination. Because what Bill did wasn't luck. It was discipline so extreme most people would call it obsessive. Bill's journey, 1977-2025. Bill bought his 420 acres in 1977. He was 24 years old, had worked construction for 5 years, saved $38,000. The land cost $640 per acre, $268,800 total. He put down $38,000, financed $230,800 at 8.9% over 20 years. His monthly payment, $2,140. For a 24-year-old, that was crushing. Bill's solution: work constantly, farm during growing season, construction work during winter, side jobs whenever possible. His first decade, 1977 to 1987, was brutal. He worked 80-hour weeks, made $42,000 annually combined income. After land payment, $25,680, and living expenses, $8,000, Bill lived cheaper than anyone. He saved $8,320 per year. But he also paid extra on his land, every tax refund, every bonus, every unexpected income. In 1985, he had a great crop year, made an extra $12,000, put it all toward the land. By 1989, 12 years after purchase, Bill owned 420 acres, free and clear. He was 36 years old. With no land payment, everything changed. His farming income by 1989, $48,000. His construction winter income, $16,000. Total, $64,000. Living expenses still $8,000. Savings, $56,000 per year. But Bill didn't trust banks completely, remembered the 1980s farm crisis, remembered banks failing. So he diversified, kept some cash at home, kept some in banks, and started making deposits at Patterson John Deere. The deposit strategy seemed strange. Rick's father, who ran the dealership then, had asked Bill, "Why deposit money here? We don't pay interest." Bill's answer: "Because if it's here, I won't spend it, and someday I'll need equipment. When I do, the money will be ready." From 1996 to 2025, Bill made 14 deposits at Patterson John Deere totaling $387,500. But that was only part of his savings. He also kept cash at home, in a safe, started with $20,000 in 1995, added $30,000, $50,000 annually. By 2025, had $1, $3 million in cash at home. He also maintained regular bank accounts, kept $240,000 liquid in checking and savings for operating expenses and emergencies. He also had investments, municipal bonds mostly. Started investing in 2002. By 2025, had $430,000 in bonds. Total wealth by March 2025. Land, 420 acres at 4,400 acre, or $1,848,000. Cash at home, $1,300,000. Deposits at dealership, $387,500. Bank accounts, $240,000. Investments, $430,000. Equipment and buildings, $180,000. Total, $4,385,500. Bill Henderson was worth $438 million. Nobody knew. He drove a 1994 Dodge Ram. Lived in his original 1,200-square-foot farmhouse from 1977, wore the same overalls for 10 years until they wore out. The deposit ritual. Every time Bill made a deposit at Patterson John Deere, it was the same routine. He'd farm all year. At harvest, he'd calculate his net profit, take half of it, literally exactly half, and within 3 days of final harvest sale, drive to the dealership. "I'd like to make a deposit toward future equipment." Rick's father would accept the cash or check, write a receipt, file it. Never questioned it. Just accepted that Bill Henderson was the farmer who saved money at the dealership. Other farmers heard about it, thought it was weird. "Why's Bill depositing money at the dealership? That's like putting money in your mattress." But Bill didn't care what they thought. He had a system, stuck to it. The deposits increased over time because Bill's farming income increased. In 1996, he netted $24,000 and deposited $12,000. By 2024, he netted $104,000 and deposited $52,000. The progression was steady, consistent, relentless. Why Bill waited so long? People who knew Bill always asked, "Why don't you buy new equipment? You can clearly afford it." Bill's answer was always the same: because the old equipment still works. He farmed with a 1979 International 1086 tractor until 2003, 24 years, rebuilt the engine twice, replaced the transmission once, total maintenance over 24 years, $18,400. A new tractor would have cost $85,000 in 2003. He farmed with a 1987 John Deere 4450 from 2003 until 2025, 22 years. Maintained it religiously. Total maintenance, $14,200. A new equivalent would have cost $180,000 in 2015. His combine was a 1995 John Deere 9500. Bought it used in 2001 for $42,000. Farmed with it for 24 years. Maintenance, $31,000 total. A new combine in 2015 would have cost $420,000. Bill's total equipment investment from 1977 to 2025, approximately $140,000 for purchases plus $98,000 in maintenance. Total $238,000 over 48 years. His neighbors spent an average of $18,000 per year on equipment payments and maintenance. Over 48 years, $864,000. Bill saved $626,000 by using old equipment. Add compound interest on that savings over decades, and it's worth over $1.2 million of his total wealth. Rick's perspective shift. After Bill's purchase, Rick couldn't stop thinking about it. Here was a farmer who'd done everything wrong, according to modern farming advice. Didn't expand beyond original acreage, didn't upgrade equipment regularly, didn't leverage debt to grow, didn't maximize gross revenue. Yet Bill ended up wealthier than farmers who'd done everything right. Rick started looking at his customer base differently. He had farmers with 3,000 acres who owed $2 million. Had farmers with brand new equipment who were one bad crop year from bankruptcy. Had customers who looked successful but were actually leveraged to the breaking point. Then there was Bill, 420 acres, old equipment until now, no debt, $438 million net worth. Rick called a staff meeting 2 weeks after Bill's purchase, told his sales team, "We need to change how we approach customers. We've been pushing everyone to upgrade, to finance, to grow. That works for some farmers, but it destroys others. From now on, we ask, what does the customer actually need, not what can we sell them?" His senior salesman objected. "Rick, if we only sell what they need, our commissions drop." "Maybe, but our customers survive, and customers who survive keep buying. Customers who go bankrupt buy once, then disappear." Rick implemented a new policy. Before discussing equipment, discuss the customer's financial situation. Do you have debt? How much? What's your savings? What's your actual need versus want? Some salesmen quit, didn't want to sell less, but the ones who stayed found something interesting. Customers trusted them more, were more loyal, sent referrals. By end of 2025, Patterson John Deere's revenue was down 8%, but customer retention was up 23%, and the dealership had fewer bad debts from customers who couldn't make payments. Rick learned Bill Henderson was right. Selling more isn't always better. Selling appropriately is better. The community reaction. Word spread fast. Bill Henderson just bought $2 million in equipment cash. People were shocked. Bill, the guy with the rusty truck, the guy who wore overalls until they had holes? That Bill? Some farmers were inspired. If Bill saved $2 million, maybe I can save $2. Others were defensive. Bill only saved because he never had kids. Not true. Bill had 3 kids, all college educated. He'd paid their tuition in cash. Some said Bill got lucky with crop prices. Not true. Bill farmed through the same markets everyone else did. The truth was uncomfortable for most farmers. Bill succeeded because he was more disciplined than they were. That implied their own lack of success was due to lack of discipline. Easier to find excuses than accept that truth. But 3 young farmers, all under 35, called Bill asking for advice. First was Jason Torres, 28, farming 240 rented acres. "Mr. Henderson, I heard about your equipment purchase. How did you save $2 million? Bill's answer, "I spent less than I made for 48 years. That's it, not complicated." "But how much did you save per year?" "Started at $8,000, ended at $52,000. Whatever I could save, I saved." "Did you ever use credit?" Only for the original land purchase. Paid it off in 12 years. After that, zero debt ever. What if I can't save that much? Save what you can. If it's $5,000 a year, save $5,000. In 10 years, that's $50,000. In 30 years, with compound interest, maybe $200,000. Start now. Stay consistent. Jason implemented Bill's advice. By December 2025, had saved $8,400. Small start, but a start. Second farmer was Rebecca Walsh, 32, farming 180 owned acres. Bill, I own my land, but I have equipment debt, $78,000. Should I pay it off or save? Pay it off. Debt is guaranteed cost. Savings is uncertain gain. Eliminate guaranteed costs first. Rebecca redirected all savings to debt, paid off $22,000 in 2025. Felt lighter. Third farmer was Daniel Morris, 35, farming 520 acres, $340,000 in debt. Bill, I'm overwhelmed. I owe more than I'm worth. What do I do? Bill's answer was harder. Stop borrowing, stop expanding, pay down debt. It'll take years, maybe a decade, but it's the only way. But everyone says I need to grow to survive. Everyone's wrong. You need to own to survive. Growing while owing is just digging deeper. Daniel didn't take the advice. Too hard. But 2 years later, when he eventually lost the farm, he remembered Bill's words. You need to own to survive. Rick's personal transformation. Rick had been selling equipment for 32 years, made millions in commissions, lived well, nice house, new trucks every 3 years, boats, vacations. But watching Bill buy $2.1 million cash made Rick question everything. I've made $4 million in commissions over 32 years. Where'd it go? I should be wealthy like Bill, but I'm not. Why? The answer, Rick spent everything. Made $125,000 per year average, spent $120,000, saved $5,000. After 32 years, had maybe $280,000 saved. Bill made $70,000 average, spent $20,000, saved $50,000. After 48 years, had $438 million. Rick earned more. Bill kept more. Keeping mattered more than earning. Rick was 56 in 2025. Decided to change. Started living on $60,000. Saving $65,000 of his $125,000 income. Bill showed me I've been doing this wrong. Time to fix it. His wife questioned it. Why are we suddenly living cheap? We can afford nice things. Because nice things didn't make me wealthy. They made me look wealthy. Bill looked poor and was rich. I looked rich and was mediocre. I want to be actually rich. By December 2025, Rick had saved $52,000. First time in his life he'd saved that much in a single year. Felt liberating. The final lesson. In November 2025, Patterson John Deere hosted a customer appreciation dinner, invited 80 farmers, asked Bill to speak. Bill initially declined. I'm not a speaker, Rick persisted. Bill, these farmers need to hear your story. Most are drowning in debt. You prove there's another way. Bill agreed. Spoke for 15 minutes. Key quote, I'm not special. I'm not smarter than anyone here. I just decided early that debt was slavery and savings was freedom. I chose freedom. It took 48 years. It was boring. It was difficult, but it worked. Anyone can do what I did. Most won't because it requires giving up things you want now for things you need later. But anyone can. Someone asked, what did you give up? Everything non-essential, new trucks, new equipment, vacations, eating out, nice clothes, entertainment. For 48 years I gave up comfort for security. Now I have security forever. Was it worth it? Ask me when I'm 80 and still farming because I want to, not because I have to. Standing ovation. After the dinner, 17 farmers talked to Bill. All wanted advice, all inspired. Rick watched from the side. The farmer he'd laughed at 8 months earlier was now the most respected person in the room. The dealer learned. The farmer taught. The lesson was simple but profound. Wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep. Bill kept $2.1 million by living on $20,000 a year for 48 years. Most farmers earned more than Bill, but spent it, financed it, borrowed against it. Bill looked poor, was rich. They looked rich, were poor. The farmer said, "I just want to check my balance." The dealer laughed, then saw $387,500 in deposits, plus $1.7 million in cash. The laugh stopped. The lesson started. Never judge a farmer by his truck, or his overalls, or his 31-year-old Dodge Ram. Judge him by his balance. Bill's balance was $438 million. The dealer's balance was $280,000. Who was richer? Who was wiser? Who understood farming? Bill Henderson, 420 acres, 48 years, $438 million, zero debt, infinite freedom. That's farming. Real farming. The kind that builds generational wealth. The kind where you check your balance and shock the dealer who laughed. Epilogue. 1 year later, March 2026, correction, December 2025. 9 months after Bill's purchase, Patterson John Deere held a follow-up meeting. Rick invited Bill to update everyone on the new equipment. Bill showed up in the same overalls, drove the same 1994 Dodge Ram. Some things never changed. "How's the new equipment working?" Rick asked. "Perfectly. I went from 48-year-old equipment to brand new. The difference is remarkable. But you know what's interesting? My yields didn't increase, still averaging the same bushels per acre. The new equipment just made the work easier and faster. I'm done planting in 3 days instead of 7, done harvesting in 4 days instead of 9. But the corn doesn't know if it was planted by a 1979 International or a 2025 John Deere. It grows the same." Someone asked, "So was the upgrade worth it?" "Yes, because my old equipment was finally worn beyond reasonable repair." No, if you're measuring yield increases. The value wasn't in making more money. The value was in making my life easier. At 72, I appreciate that. "Do you regret waiting so long to upgrade?" Bill thought carefully. "No, because waiting allowed me to buy everything cash. If I'd upgraded 20 years ago, I'd have financed it. Paid interest, been in debt. By waiting, I paid $2.1 million instead of maybe $3.2 million after interest. I saved $1 million by being patient. Worth it." The room absorbed that. Patience saved $1 million. Rick asked the question everyone wondered. "Bill, what are you doing with your remaining wealth? You have over $2 million left after the equipment purchase." "Leaving it to my kids and grandkids, but with conditions. They get it when they prove they can save money themselves. Don't want to give millions to people who'll waste it. They need to show discipline first, then they'll get their inheritance." "What if they never show discipline?" "Then it goes to charity. I'd rather help strangers who work hard than family who waste money." Tough love, but effective. Bill's 3 children, all in their 40s, immediately started saving more aggressively, motivated by conditional inheritance. Bill's daily routine? 2025. People asked Bill, "How do you live on $20,000 annually?" Here's how. Housing, $0. Owns home outright, paid off in 1989. Property taxes, $3,400. Utilities, $1,800. Food, $6,200. Cooks at home, no restaurants. Clothing, $400. Buys used, wears until worn out. Transportation, $2,400. Old truck, minimal maintenance. Healthcare, $4,200. Medicare plus supplement. Entertainment, $800. Library books, free activities. MISC, $800. Total, $20,000. No cable TV, no streaming services. No new phones every year, no vacations, no luxury anything. Sounds miserable? Bill didn't think so. "I have everything I need: house, food, health, family, freedom. What else matters? A new truck doesn't make me happier. Restaurants don't make corn grow better. Vacations are nice but not necessary. I'm content. Contentment. The word modern society forgot. Bill mastered it. The contrast. Bill versus average farmer. Let's compare Bill to an average farmer in his area. Average farmer, 48 years, 1977-2025. Acres, 1 to 200, expanded from original 400. Equipment, always financed, upgraded every 7 to 10 years. Debt, currently $1.8 million, land and equipment. Net worth, $2.1 million, assets 3.9 meters minus debt, $1. 8M, annual income, $180,000 gross, $45,000 net after debt service. Stress level, high, 1 bad year, cheat of potential bankruptcy. Bill Henderson, 48 years, 1977-2025, acres 420, never expanded, equipment, paid cash, used until worn out, debt, 0 since 1989, 36 years debt-free, net worth, $438 million in all assets, no debt, annual income, $140,000, farming plus investments, stress level 0, no debt, no financial pressure. The average farmer had 3 times Bill's acres, made similar net income, but had half Bill's net worth and infinite more stress. Why? Debt. The average farmer spent 48 years borrowing to expand. Bill spent 48 years saving to own. Same time period, different strategies, vastly different outcomes. The ripple effect. Bill's story changed Patterson John Deere. By December 2025, sales were down 12%, fewer aggressive sales. Customer satisfaction up 31%, bad debt down 47%, customer retention up 28%, referrals up 41%. Rick's commission income dropped from $125,000 to $98,000. But his job stress dropped 70%. Worth it. More importantly, 19 farmers in Marshall County were now actively following the Henderson method. Buy only what you can pay cash for, use equipment until actually worn out, save aggressively, minimum 40% of net income, eliminate all debt as fast as possible, never expand on borrowed money. Would they all become millionaires? Maybe not. But they'd all sleep better at night. The final wisdom. In December 2025, a local reporter interviewed Bill for Farm Journal magazine. Final question, Bill, what would you tell young farmers starting today? Bill's answer, I'd tell them the truth nobody wants to hear. Getting rich farming is simple but hard. Simple because the formula's obvious. Spend less than you earn, save the difference, avoid debt. Hard because it requires decades of discipline. Most young farmers want to start big, want new equipment, lots of acres, impressive operations. They finance everything, look successful immediately. But they're building on sand. One bad year, one health crisis, one equipment failure, and it all collapses. I started small, stayed small, looked unsuccessful for decades, but I built on bedrock. Now I'm 72 with more money than I'll ever spend and zero stress. I can farm because I want to, not because I have to. That's freedom. So my advice, choose freedom over flash. Choose ownership over growth. Choose patience over speed. It'll take 40 years instead of 4. You'll look poor while getting rich. People will judge you, but you'll win in the end. And winning at 70 is better than losing at 40. The magazine article ended with that quote. Got 280,000 views online. Comments ranged from, "This is outdated advice," to "This is the only advice that matters." The farmers who thought it was outdated stayed in debt. The farmers who listened started saving. 10 years from now, we'll know who was right. But Bill already knew. He'd lived it. 48 years of boring, disciplined, patient wealth building. Result, $438 million and complete freedom. The dealer laughed when Bill said, "I just want to check my balance." Then saw the receipts, saw the deposits, saw the cash. The laugh died. The respect grew, and the lesson remained. Never judge a farmer by his truck. Judge him by his balance. Bill's balance, $438 million. Bill's truck, 31-year-old Dodge with rust. Bill's wisdom, priceless. The farmer who looked poorest was richest. The dealer who looked confident was shocked. The balance that seemed impossible was real, and somewhere in Iowa, a 72-year-old farmer in worn overalls drives a rusty truck to his paid-off farm and operates $2.1 million in debt-free equipment and sleeps perfectly at night because he has zero stress and infinite peace. That's the American dream, real version. The one that actually works. The one where you check your balance and shock the dealer who laughed.